A name only gets you so far. Passion, discipline, hard work, humility. Those traits built my family's name, and I'm using them to carve my own legacy. I'm Hunter Labrada. It's my turn. My back development used to be a weak point of mine, so Lee and I a couple years ago sat down and really devised a training program to really pack the mass onto my back, especially my lats. Today we're going to really focus on getting a full contraction and squeeze, actually using your lats, not using your biceps, not using your body momentum to pull the weight or anything. You're really going to move the weight with your lats today. So for today's workout, we're going to start with straight arm push down, supersetted with low cable rows. From there, we're going to move on to a underhand lat pull down. From there, we're going to go over to a back staple, the bent over row. I'm going to show you a couple pointers and form tips for that. And then from there, we're going to go do one of my favorites. We're actually going to do a close grip with the V handle lat pull down. And that'll be a little bit higher rep to really finish off the back.
All right, so you ready to get into it?
Yeah, man, let's hit it.
Let's go blow that back up, man.
Let's get it. All right, guys, so our first exercise of the day is actually going to be a superset. We're going to do straight arm push down, supersetted with low cable rows. You'll notice there's a slight bend in his elbows, but that angle is not moving at all. All the motion's coming from the shoulder joint. At the top, he's stretching, and at the bottom, he's pulling his chest through. I'm going to say that a lot today. On all of our exercises, we're going to have a big chest and really try and pull our chest through everything we do. This movement's great for pre-exhaustion of your lats. As you can see, he's not using anything but his lats to get that weight down.
All right, man.
And then from there, we're gonna move on to a low cable row, straight into it. And you'll notice when he does these, he'll get a full stretch at the bottom, but when he rows it up, his back's never really getting past a 90-degree angle. He's also really pulling his elbows back. That's also really important on our rowing movements. You want to get your elbows back as far as you can. It's the function of your lats is to pull your elbows back and through.
All right. Good job.
All right, now that we got a little blood in the muscle and everything's nice and warm, we're gonna move on into our working sets. Starting with that superset, not only does it allow us to pre-exhaust our lats, but it also allows us to put a lot of blood in there. And the more blood you have in there, I'm always talking about a squeeze and a contraction, the harder that squeeze will be and the more the contraction will be because the muscle's so filled up with blood and has so much volume to it. Rowing with all that blood in your back really is like a whole new dynamic to the workout.
Typically, if your partner gets stuck on this exercise, the way that you want to spot him is by grabbing the cable so that you don't get in the way of the motion. And you would just pull down towards his waist, keeping it real steady.
If you need a spot for this exercise, though, you're definitely going too heavy.
Good.
Another thing I'm a really big proponent of is really stretching in between sets. You know, just whatever you can grab, just get on it and really stretch the lat out. You'll get super tight doing the superset. Yeah.
You know, this exercise really captures the function of the lats, which is to bring the upper arm bone, the humerus, down and back.
Blown up already. We're just getting started.
One of the things you'll notice is that he brings his elbows back and down, and he keeps the chest high. You got to keep the chest high during all your back movements, because if you let the chest sink, then it becomes an arm movement, right?
Becomes a glorified bicep curl. Sitting there curling it instead of rowing it.
Exactly. All right, what's next?
I'm gonna go to underhand lat pull downs. When I train back, I typically go row, pull down, row, pull down, row, pull down. I like to alternate like that, or if I start with pull downs, it's pull down, row, pull down, row. So moving from that low row, instead of going to another row motion and really just kind of completely exhausting myself, I like to get in the lat movement while I'm still fresh. And also coming straight from that superset, there's so much blood in your lats. Getting that pinch that you get from the underhand pull down really is an incredible feeling. Couple coaching points for this. You'll see when he gets to the top, there's a full stretch at the top, and when he's pulling it down, he's not getting super far back. He's staying relatively up with it, pulling it all the way to his chest. Doing it underhand allows us to really pull the elbows down, and as we said earlier, that's the main function of the latissimus is to pull your elbow down. So puts you at a very natural angle and allows you to get a really deep pull and contraction. Whenever you're at the top of it, really kind of, I call it letting your head go through the window, and you'll see me in the video, I'm at the top of the rep, you'll be like this and your head will be through it. That's allowing you to fully stretch and elongate the muscle.
You know, I think that Hunter's done a very good job of learning my training techniques, but then taking them and adapting those that have worked, that work for him and his body mechanics, and then, you know, setting aside the ones that don't. You know, that's helped him to refine and develop his own style.
And as far as grip width goes, you'll see him, he'll do them a little more narrow. I do mine a little bit wider. All comes down to a personal preference. Personally, I like to have my hands semi-lined up with my shoulders, so it's a straight line down. It puts a little less strain on the wrists. Mine are very inflexible, so that's probably why I like doing them that way.
The important thing is to get the elbow down and back. Keep that chest high and just get a really full contraction in the lats.
You'll see Lee at the end of that last rep help me force a rep. Whenever you're spotting your partner on this, don't grab the cables. It's a good way to knock a finger off. Get in between him just like this and allow him to pull it and just keep his track of motion going.
All right, last one.
Come on. Yes.
Good. Come on, everything you got. Come on, drive. Go. Good.
Ooh.
Good pump?
Yes, sir.
Me too.
All right, let's go on. Bent over rows.
Bent over rows?
Yes, sir. All right, guys, so we just got done hitting those underhand lat pull downs, so now we're gonna move on to underhand bent over row. Much for the same reason we do the lat pull downs underhand, we're gonna do the rows underhand too, because it allows you to have the most natural movement with your elbows. See how his elbows are coming straight up and he's getting a full range of motion. Another coaching point with this, a lot of people want to come up real high as they row it. If you're coming up too high, it's because the weight's too heavy. You want to stay over it, your back shouldn't move hardly at all. Finally, you'll see him when he does it, the bar is staying really close to his thighs the whole time. He's not letting it get out in front of him and hanging, he's actually almost dragging it up his leg and really pulling it into his belly button. It's going to give you the fullest contraction.
There's not a lot of motion on his lower back here. Just kind of keeps it nice and steady. And all of the tension is across his upper back and his lats.
Doing things underhand allows you to keep your elbow in a more natural track. When you do overhand rows, you find yourself kind of when the weight gets heavier, kind of chicken winging it out instead of keeping your elbows in. Whenever you're like this, you can't chicken wing. The bar doesn't go like that. Your hands will go straight back whenever you pull it, and it just keeps you in a locked in motion.
This is one of those exercises where, especially young trainees, get carried away and they try to pile too much weight on. And a lot of time, it's not the size of the tool, but it's how you use it.
Exactly.
So you got to really feel it and contract in the back.
Used to be able to row a lot more than I do now, and it was more of it due to me doing it like this instead of doing it right.
Good.
Being that bent over allows you to really pull with your middle back and your lats instead of more your biceps, because the more you stand up, the more it becomes a bicep curl unless it becomes a back motion. And being that bent over, it just kind of gives you like something to go off of, because you know, you see Lee or me, we kind of like touch the plates to the ground. It's kind of like a starting point for the exercise, and you know it ends with that bar pulled all the way into your belly button. All right, last one, come on. You'll see whenever he's doing this, he doesn't have his head cranked way up, and it's not down either. Try looking like at the ground, like 4 or 5 feet in front of you. It'll keep your spine really nice, flat, natural angle. Good.
Okay, last one?
Yep.
All right, what would you like on there?
Throw that other plate on there.
Good. Right. Good. Good job. All right, buddy.
All right, guys, so this is gonna be the last exercise of our back workout. We're gonna do 3 sets of this. What we're gonna do is a reverse close grip lat pull down. Got my ass beat by Charles Glass out in Gold's Gym Venice last year, and this was something that we finished up with actually, and you'll see us do it. You have your butt really like kind of like wedged in where you normally put your legs, and you keep your back on that pad to where there's absolutely no motion. It's kind of about as isolated as you can get for a lat pull down. See how Lee's gonna get his butt wedged back into here and his back on this. It takes out all the ability for you to be swinging around and really locks you into position, as well as letting you get a good stretch. Also, another benefit of this is you'll see how the pulley's out over him a little, so instead of just pulling it down, he's pulling it down and to him. It really is like almost like a lat row, if that makes sense.
Okay, so isolation is the key here.
Really focus on the stretch and then really focus on pulling it all the way to your chest.
Squeeze. Okay. Good.
By this time, and I'm sure all of y'all will experience this if you give this workout a try, your lower back will feel like you have like those little balloon animals for erectors right now. You want to be able to like stand up hardly, so it really helps being able to take your lower back out of the equation as well.
Oh, good. One more. Come on, back. Good. Two more.
Good.
Come on. 2 more. 2, let's go. Let's go. Squeeze. All right, one more. Come on. Squeeze. Good. Good. Man. That's it.
So that concludes our back workout for today. A couple key points to keep in mind when you're doing this workout. First, keep the rest low, 45 seconds to a minute. Second thing to keep in mind, on all of your back exercises, keep a big chest. Last point to keep in mind, on all your exercises, try and get your elbows as back as you can. The farther you get that elbow back, the more activation you'll get from your lats. If you have any questions about this workout or nutrition and training in general, don't hesitate to ask me any questions. Just hit me on my body space. It's Hunter Labrada, all lowercase, no spaces.
And for more videos like this from me and Hunter, just check it out on Bodybuilding.com.